So same reason why we did it with Bobby V for his first album, because we could have wrote all of those songs by ourselves, but we wanted to help position Bobby that if that anything blew up, he could go get himself a deal. And sure enough, the week after Slowdown came up and went through the roof, you know, Bobby got a huge bag for a publishing deal. You know, because we had him write on pretty much every song on that album.
But that's the great thing to do. But that's not a music industry stuff. You know what you guys are doing is stuff that most people weren't doing.
That people don't do often.
Yeah. So what made you guys?
Yeah, I'll tell you one reason why. One thing we learned from L.A. Reid, I never forget. It's so funny. Like, we would go see L.A. Reid probably once a week, once every 2 weeks, every Friday, because my son's mother at the time, she worked at LaFace and she was executive assistant. Can you see if L.A. has like a free hour, you know, when the office closed tonight? Me and Tim just come up there and just chop it up with him, just, you know, pick his brain. So she called me back, like, yeah, LA said that, you know, guys come by at 7. We'll go up there and sit with LA, talk for 2 hours. Like, we would do that like almost every week. Every week, like on a Friday or like when his day was over at the end of the week, as often as we could, we'd go up there and just get knowledge from him. And something we learned from him, they would tell us, because we were always like, man, but we wrote it, we 100%ers, you know, trying to be like, y'all, man, we write it. He said, man, but you know what? You guys need to learn to share the wealth. You got to learn to share the wealth. And so at first we didn't really get what he meant. We knew what he meant, but we really understood it later on. I speaking for myself, I know I did. And so yeah, we would think of LA in moments like that, like share the wealth. Mm-hmm. Somebody else in the room might come up with an idea that might be 10% of the song, but it might be the most important part of the song. Mm. You know, just if nothing else, be open to it. Don't be so concerned on you gotta write this 100%. Be willing to share the wealth. And so like that always stuck with me through LA. Mm. So yeah, that's what I would say.
But that's what Jimmy and Terry did with Janet, with the Control album and Ribbon. They just said, talk about your life, and I said, okay, you're writing the album with us, because then she hadn't written before and she didn't learn how to write because they gave her that opportunity. So what you did with Tamia, that's what Jimmy said in an interview, that's what we did. We said, yeah, talk, and we took all she said and she co-wrote it. Since then on.
That's like, amazing. Oh wow.
So that's what my father told me. So she was telling them about, this is my dad's controlling me and stuff. He says, yep, you've just written Control. We'll write it with you. So when you were saying this, I thought you knew about how Jimmy and Terry sort of wrote with Janet and got her to write.
I don't think I've heard it like that before. Like, wow, that's cool. That doesn't surprise me, because I remember when she was writing on the stuff, like seeing her name as a writer, and now it makes perfect sense that you're saying that, because I didn't know that they did that. Like, that was by design. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, what you did to Tamia, exactly. They just had her talk about her life, and they just wrote the album. And they said, was it Terry that said that? I think it was, no, Jimmy and Terry was saying that they were out in town with Janet, and some guys came talking to her, and she said to them, why didn't you come help me? They said, these nasty boys were talking to me. Why didn't you help me? And they're like, no, we were just watching. And so that's how they came out Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boy,
because they saw these. She didn't like the fact that I think they were in a club or something like that, and they watched that. And she said, "Why did you let these Nasty Boys talk to me?"
That's cool.
So when you said that, I thought you knew about that. And that's cool. What you guys did with Tamia. And so I was like, okay, because that's.
I didn't know that's how Nasty Boy came out. That's cool.
Yeah, but
that's so cool.
Everybody, I think people knew about you guys with Bobby V album, because Tim, he started to name drop you guys, and that's been because you've been doing stuff, and I think if industry people would know who you are, but I think the public kind of knew about Tim and Bob was when he started to drop your name. How did that
a
come
lot of
about?
people. There was like a younger generation that literally thought that was the first thing we did. That's
Yeah.
actually cool because when they go back and look further, like 10 years before that, they're like, "Whoa, y'all did all of that too! Wow, I didn't know y'all did that." So
But how did the
that's
whole
cool.
Bobby B stuff where he dropped your name? Whose idea was it to say, okay, Tim and Bob, and then all of a sudden,
He just did it. He just did it. Because we was in such a zone when we did that album. We did that whole album in 2 weeks.
What?
2 weeks. And so literally just kind of just hanging out in the studio. It wasn't even like we was like, okay, we got to get this done. He didn't even have a deal till after the album was done. Because, we've known Luda since before he was even rapping. He was a very well-known DJ in Atlanta.
Okay, I heard about that.
So Luda had came to us. Okay, so fast forward, in his career, when he started DTP and all that, and his career took off. He had hit us up like, "Hey man, I want y'all to run my R&B for my label." And it was like, absolutely, you family, absolutely. So we was already going to do business with him. And so when we started doing these demos on Bobby, we was taking them around everywhere, all the labels, nobody would sign them. And so then there was a guy that was at the time was Luda's best friend. His name was Poon Daddy. I know it's a funny name. But Poon Daddy and Luda, they were literally radio personalities in Atlanta, like two of the biggest radio personalities at the time. So Poon called Tim like, "Hey man, y'all should work with Bobby, man. I'm gonna fly him out there. We finna get on the plane." And so they flew out to LA. And that's when we started working on it. Because we had knew Bobby anyway from when we worked with Mr. on the Mr. album.
Okay.
The group that Bobby was in.
Yeah.
And so we had already worked with him. And so that's where it all started, man. And so, but yeah, we got like 14 songs in. Nobody would sign them. It's weird. We was taking them everywhere. Like, it was weird. Like, we took them to we even took them to Big John when Big John was running the label. Remember Big John from EMI, the publisher, Big John. At one point, Big John was running the labels. We took them to Big John, and Big John was like, "I'm cool. He's dope, but yeah." Let me think about it. Like, people were just like, the response was lukewarm. And so, so then one night, Tim hit me up, was like, "Hey man, I just dropped a song off to PJ Butter." PJ Butter was a DJ out here in LA.
Okay.
Who had this thing every night at like 10:30 that he would play unsigned music. So Tim took the song to PJ Butter and went up to the radio station. Phones was going crazy. Phones like up. So I was like, "Man, this is crazy." He said, "I'm gonna do this every night." So he did that every night for like a week or two. Before you know it, the song was the hottest song in LA. Mind you, Bobby don't have a deal. And This is Slow Down specifically. And so so next thing you know, we called Luda's like, "Hey man, Bobby blowing up out here in LA, man. We probably should go ahead and sign him." He's like, "Yeah, I'm finna fly this." Luda came out, listened to everything. He was like, "Man, this is crazy. Yeah, this is done. We gotta sign him." And so initially we was trying to figure out, okay, should the deal go through us? But then we was like, well, we finna run DTP, R&B stuff. It was like we ultimately we said, just sign them to DTP. And so so that's how it all started, man. And so then, because Tell Me and Slow Down were the last two songs we recorded. And so, but anyway, when Tim took it up to the label, that's how the song blew up. It was, by the time Bobby got signed, Slow Down had been playing on the radio in LA for about 4 months. It was old out here. So by the time it hit the airwaves, and it still went #1 for a month, actually. But it literally was old in LA by the time it came out. It was like, yeah, because he was, for so long, it was just playing out on the radio. People thought he was signed, but he actually wasn't even signed.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's the power of a great song, and it's, that was the power of a great song. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay, you okay?
They don't understand what Jonas' voice means.
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.